Hey, come see us on tour. We're going to be in Los Angeles, Columbus, Ohio, Dayton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, Burbank, California, and Honolulu. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. We have special guests in the house with us. Scott Ritter, one-time Marine intelligence officer who served as the former Soviet Union in the former Soviet Union, implementing arms control agreements. And from 91 to 98, he served as chief inspector for the United Nations in Iraq, leading the search for Iraq's prescribed weapons of mass destruction. He was later a vocal critic of the American decision to go to war with Iraq. He is also the author of 9 books, including his latest, Disarmament in the Time of Perestroika, Arms Control, and the End of the Soviet Union. Welcome to the show, Scott. How are you? Good to see you.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Also with us is Jose Vega, is the Bronx-based activist who previously worked as a staffer for Dianne Sayre, who ran as an independent U.S. Senate against New York Chuck Schumer. Jose is he's famous for confronting all the politicians and the bad people about their support for the Ukraine war and the Gaza war and all that kind of stuff. He is currently a candidate for the U.S. House in New York's 15th Congressional District against incumbent Richie Torres. Hey, Jose, how are you?
Hanging in there. Happy to be here.
So I don't know if both of you saw this. I wanted to show it to you. MSNBC deleted this interview about Palestine. It was with Jeremy Scahill, who got, it's nice to see he got approval from his billionaire handlers to tell the truth about a war. So that's always good to see. I'm happy about that. So let's watch this and watch what happens.
I've just gotten done seeing images from the ground where children are being shredded like meat in a butcher shop. I don't understand how any of us, whether we're journalists or not, this isn't about objectivity, how any of us can watch this genocide unfold in real time and watch the pontificating of the politicians running for president and not just cry out, this has to stop. I mean, this has to stop. We've looked at this. I mean, I know you've reported on the ground from Gaza. I mean, we're watching a genocide in real time. And I'm sorry, but on this network also, there are people who have promoted propaganda from Israel. There are people cheerleading for those running for office who are lying to the American people about concern for the Palestinians. And yes, we should talk about Yahya Sinwar. But Yahya Sinwar is also in many ways the story of Gaza. Yes, this was a violent man, but his violence was rooted in the fact that he was born in a refugee camp. And Israel, throughout his entire life, waged a war of annihilation against the Palestinians. I'm not here to defend Yahya Sinwar. I'm here to say that we can't talk about who Yahya Sinwar was or what Hamas is without talking about 76 years of colonialism, of apartheid, of mass killing, of mowing the lawn, of controlling the calories. Yahya Sinwar's death, the White House is saying this provides a moment to sort of pivot and to make a settlement. And what does Netanyahu do in response to those speeches from Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and John Kirby? He doubles down. Yeah. He goes full force, final solution on the people of northern Gaza. Yes, let's talk about Yahya Sinwar, but my God, we cannot watch more children being shredded and say that this is okay.
Well,
this is just a political issue. No.
So that actually ended up getting deleted. So here it is. This is why MSNBC doesn't want you to watch Jeremy Scahill's interview. The episode on MSNBC's Weekend Show was aired and later posted on the channel's social media accounts. However, only a day later, the interview was deleted from the channel's online platform, sparking concerns about censoring of voices that are critical of Israeli war in Gaza. In the interview, Scahill says Israel has been waging an extermination campaign in the north of Gaza for the past 2 weeks. There is no food or medicine of any kind that can reach the north. And first of all, let me just say, and I'm sure when that got deleted, I imagine it was a decision to remove the post was handed down in measured tones, followed by a contemplative trip to a unisex restroom. That's all. It's my guess. In stark contrast with Republicans, however, Democrats have been sending in hand sanitizer. The State Department has personally oversaw an airdrop of lawn signs reading "Joy." So that's good to hear. So there's no food or medicine going in at all, but that's just going to go to the enemy. Am I right? Come on. Here we go. You know, their enemy is the worst kind of enemy. Children who are unarmed. Israeli forces began the relentless attacks in the north of Gaza about 3 weeks ago with the declared aim of preventing Hamas fighters from regrouping, and continued to intensify after the killing of Hamas chief Yahya Sinwar last Wednesday. The health ministry has said over 650 people have been killed since the new attacks began, with at least 16 people killed on Wednesday as Israeli forces targeted a hospital, refugee shelters, and ordered residents to head south. The former investigative reporter for The Intercept also spoke about how MSNBC promoted propaganda from Israel, calling the channel out for its reporting on the Israeli war in Gaza. We can't just sit here as journalists or normal people or whatever your job is and watch human beings shredded and say it's self-defense. Nothing is self-defense about this. So I think the best way to help Hamas not regroup is to deny them baby formula. Anyway, let me bring in Jose Vega, famed anti-war activist, along with Scott Ritter. First of all, what do you have to say about them taking down that video?
Well, I think I'll start here and then I'll pass it off to Scott. I mean, the fact that a voice like that's just speaking reason. It's not even a condemnation of one side or another. It's not saying that Hamas was right or wrong. It's not saying that Israel was right or wrong. Well, it is saying Israel's wrong. But the point is that the killing needs to stop. That's it, right? It's not saying that we should celebrate what happened on October 7th or anything like that. It was the most reasonable thing you could say on mainstream media. It was very, just like common sense. The killing should stop, and the killing is not stopping. It's horrible. And the fact that they would delete that, who the hell would disagree that killing should stop and that we should stop sending baby formula and food to Gaza? Nobody would disagree with you on that. And the fact that the mainstream media would delete just that, like, hey, maybe we should stop this, I think goes to show how depraved our mainstream media has become, and the fact that we can't rely on it anymore for reason and rational thought.
People like to say that Israel has a right to defend itself. And would you agree with the comparison that I have made, that that's like saying that, the United States has a right to defend itself against the Native Americans we put in on reservations? I mean, is that a bad comparison or a good comparison?
Well, I mean, first of all, what I would say is back then we didn't have a body of international law that had been developed through legal institutions and matured. So back then it was literally the frontier. It was the wild, wild west. Today we're supposed to be civilized. We're supposed to have learned certain lessons from the Second World War about fascist Germany and the genocide they carried out, not just against the Jews, but against the Russians, against the Poles, against the Gypsies, against homosexuals, about Imperial Japan and the slaughter of the Chinese. We came together as a community under the vehicle of the United Nations to say that is not how civilized nations are to behave. And we spoke out against colonial powers, and we spoke about the right of self-determination. And we determined that when you are a people who are being illegally occupied, you have an inherent right to oppose the occupiers, and the occupiers have no right of self-defense, no inherent right, because the occupation is unjust. So I'm not giving the great American manifest destiny march to the sea a clean bill of health. I'm not doing that. Of course, we committed genocide of our own. We committed mass murder. The crimes we committed against the Native Americans, the indigenous peoples of North America, are manifest, and we should never forget those crimes. But I'm just saying that back then we were barbarians. Today we claim to be civilized, and yet we ignore the very foundation of civilization, which are these laws that say you can't do this, and there are consequences for doing this. Israel is behaving as a nation above the law, above the rule of law. They ignore it, and the United States is supporting this. So what does that say about us?
And Jose, are you as shocked as I am at the corporate news media, how that makes news because it was said once on a corporate news show? And I think Jeremy overestimates the quality, because he says, how can you sit here as a journalist? I don't think those people are actually journalists. They're no Edward R. Murrows. I mean, if you ask the modern reporter, have you no shame, they would just say that's a double negative. Anyway, what do you say to that?
Well, first of all, I would just say I think those people are not human, because I don't think a human being can actually know what's happening over there and sit right with it and go to sleep at night not even thinking about it. I don't think that anybody who is watching the images coming out of Gaza, finding out all the people who are dead right now, or looking at the videos of dead children who have actually been beheaded, and then just go on about their lives and say, well, that's something happening over there, or, you know, this is, or maybe the famous line I hear is, well, Hamas shouldn't have started it. This happened 78 years ago. But I want to address something that Scott had brought up. You know, I thought that the American Revolution was fought so that we didn't have to be like the barbaric British Empire anymore. But today, the United States likes to imitate itself as if it's this British Empire clone. And I think that it's absolutely horrible. You know, we have 700 military bases around the world acting like we're the world's superpower. That is not what our country was founded for. That is not what our republic is supposed to do. We're supposed to spread peace around the world. We're supposed to be people who actually mediate the conflicts without weapons. And I don't think us supplying all these weapons and arms to Israel is doing the world any favor. Now, I think Scott disagrees with me when I say I think it's happening here in the United States. I think the United States is what's dictating Israel, and that the policy is being done here, not over there. And I think if the plug was pulled here by the collective administration, because I don't think we know who the hell is in power right now, certainly not Biden, most definitely isn't Kamala Harris, whoever the hell is pulling the strings in the back rooms, I think if they just pulled the plug on this, it could happen if the American people demanded it.
Well, isn't just to that point, Scott? Didn't a recent revelation come out, a leak, that the United States had plans on how to attack Iran? Was that an American plan, or was that an Israeli plan?
Well, the intelligence documents that came out talk about Israeli military preparations, and apparently somebody leaked it in an effort to try and stop the Israeli attack. But let's be clear. You know, Israel has telegraphed what it plans on doing, and the United States is in full support. Last September, or 2 Septembers ago, 2023, after the death of the Iranian girl that got arrested because of the hijab, there was extreme violence that broke out in Iran. And this violence was more than just demonstrations. It took on a life of its own as various resistance groups or opposition groups jumped into the fray. And I spoke with then President Raisi that same month, and he said that this was a concerted effort by the United States, by Israel, by British intelligence, by other foreign intelligence to achieve regime change in Iran. I think the Israeli attack is going to be a strike against the Iranian leadership to replicate what Israel has done with Hezbollah, with Hamas, and I think the United States is 100% behind this.
Let me just remind people that coming up this Saturday, I'm going to be I'm doing a show for the anti-war Jose Vega and Diane Sear. It's VegaSearPeaceFund.org. So it's this Saturday, 2 p.m. in New York City. When you buy the ticket, they'll send you an email let you know where that event is taking place. So Jose Vega, Diane Sear, there's going to be lots of music there, lots of speakers. I'll be there. Who else is going to be there, Jose?
Oh, well, of course, it's going to be Scott. Of course, Colonel Larry Wilkerson of the Eisenhower Media Group, Dennis Fritz, our friend Garland Nixon, and our other friends from Due Dissidents, Russell Dobular and Keaton Weiss, are going to be there as well. Ray McGovern will be joining us virtually. It'll be I think that maybe everyone, I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. If I am, I'm sorry, we'll amend it in the program. It's going to be quite a great day, because what you're hearing from Scott, you'll be hearing on that day. And I know he has an event happening the next day too, which we'll get to as well. And I just want to highlight the importance of both of these events and what we've got going on these next 2 days. See, this is the resistance. Right. We are censored online. We are doing things we can on social media. We reach people that we can. But the truth is that when we are in person, when we exercise our right to assemble, when we exercise our right to free speech, as what Julian Assange has asked all of us to do, That is what we are doing in these 2 days. That is what we are exercising and practicing. We are a resistance. And this is all happening almost kind of quasi underground. You know, you'll get the address, of course, once you purchase a ticket. But this is the only way in which people can assemble nowadays, which is in person and not fear being censored or shadow banned or restricted. That's why we are doing these events. And we're doing it, you know, exactly almost like a week before the election, because we are trying to supersede the election. We want to be above it. We are trying to tell people you don't need to rely on an elected official or some candidate. Not that people shouldn't vote for me. People should vote for me, but people should vote to elect themselves to stand up and tell the truth and do something. And I'll let Scott talk about his event on Sunday.
So here is Scott's event. Was still on Saturday. It's the Vega Sear event, and then on Sunday it's Operation Dawn. It's a brunch. It's at Tudor City Steakhouse. It's Sunday, October 27th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. I'll be there. Scott Ritter will be there. Judge Napolitano, Randy Credico, Russell Dobular, Dennis Fritz, Danny Haifong, Garland Nixon, Jeff Norman, Diane Sayre, Jose Vega, and Larry Wilkerson. So those are two power-packed shows on Saturday and Sunday. And go ahead, Scott. What else would you like to tell people about it?
No, I mean, this is, again, taking advantage of Jose and Diane's event on Saturday. We figured since people might be in New York City and spend the night, why not put together a brunch the next day? And why not see if we could take advantage of the talent to put together some panels? And so, you know, we've put together 3 panels. Operation Dawn is a challenge that, I've put out to American voters, asking them the question, what would you do to save democracy, to save America, to save the world through your vote in November? And what we're going to do with these panels is we're going to talk about, the danger of nuclear war. What would you do to save the world? We're going to talk about the assault on free speech. What would you do to save America? And we're going to talk about, what it takes to save democracy in America. What would you do to save democracy? And with the eye on the election in November, I respect people's right to say I'm voting for this person and that person. What I've asked people to do, though, is hold on to your vote. Don't give it away yet. Make people earn it. By throwing light on these 3 issues, we're hoping that we're able to get candidates to recognize that there's a block of people out there that haven't committed yet. And you need to earn their vote by articulating sound policies about these 3 critical directions. So that's the goal. We have a fantastic venue, the Tudor City Steakhouse. If you go to scottritter.com, you can purchase tickets. You're going to get a world-class buffet. You're going to get an Operation Dawn challenge coin, and you're going to get 3 fantastic panels. We're going to videotape the panels, and we'll package them, and we'll get them out so we can magnify or echo the impact that we're going to have at this brunch. But this is an outstanding lineup. Jimmy, I thank you very much for agreeing to come, and I'm very much looking forward to this.
Okay, so we'll see everybody this weekend in New York City. Hey, look at what this is. It's called Positive. Let's be real. Dogs have a sixth sense for finding the one thing in your house that they absolutely shouldn't eat. It happened today. Like your hidden chocolate or whatever treasure they dug up in the backyard. That's why they put together the Positive Emergency Kit. Because let's face it, these what did you just eat moments happen more than we like. Happened today to me. From unexpected allergy flare-ups, surprise bowel movements, or even classic what did you just eat off the floor mystery, this kit has got you covered. It's your first line of defense for keeping your dog safe and sound, no matter how curious they get. And yes, Rumble is the company behind it, so you know it's top quality. Visit positive.com, pick up your emergency kit today for your small or large pet, and save 15% with the code Jimmy. That's positive.com. Get your emergency kit for when your dog eats stuff they're not supposed to. Hey, come see us on tour. We're going to be in Los Angeles, Columbus, Ohio, Dayton, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, Burbank, California, and Honolulu. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.